Hi, Wellington here again with another video, and this time about an interesting story. My hometown of Wellington, South Africa is surrounded by stunning mountains that are amazingly photogenic. But hidden behind all this beauty also lies tragedy. One of the saddest being the story of the so-called Hawekwa mirror, of which we get reminded twice a year with a flash of light as bright as the full moon. The light is caused by the reflection of sunlight of a small memorial plaque commemorating the tragic death of a young university student on 19 November 1959 who fell to his death while trying to save his dog. Incidentally, one possible meaning of the name Hawekwa is that it is a Khoisan word referring to the man in the mountain, which can be clearly seen close to sunset during autumn and spring. From certain angles and illumination, it even looks like a hiker carrying a walking stick. From my house, the man and the mirror happened to appear at about the same time of year. When I first heard of this story, I was intrigued and started inquiring. I soon learned that people are one of the worst sources of information when trying to do research. Nobody could tell me when or where or from where to look. I soon realized that there were lots of folklore surrounding this story. Some said that the reflection is only seen around the date of the incident, and probably because they could not believe that black granite could reflect so brightly, people said that a real mirror was placed next to the stone, causing the reflection. Baboons then sometimes disturb the mirror and it gets overgrown by vegetation and therefore becomes invisible until rectified again. At least the circumstances surrounding the incident was fairly clear. Two young youths, Piet Hugo from the farm Hexberg and Frans Ferreira, the only child of the then police chief of Wellington, were on vacation from university. On the morning of that fateful Thursday, they set off to climb the Hawekwas. Frans's beloved Dobermann went along. As the party travelled through the farm Patatskloof, the then owner, Sarel van der Merwe, warned them about the danger of taking a dog into the mountain. Frans replied that his dog was used to climbing, but Sarel's concern soon became true when the dog got stuck on a narrow ledge high up on a cliff. In an attempt to lift his dog to safety, Frans lost his balance and fell to his death. Although his heroic deed saved the dog's life, it is said that the dog later mauled itself to death. The Ferreira family were devastated by the tragic death of their only child and decided to erect a headstone cemented to the rock face lower down on the mountain. The plaque carries the Afrikaans inscription reading, "In memory of Frans Ferreira, who had a fatal accident on this mountain on 19 November 1959. Always be ready." It was unveiled during a short service attended by a small group of friends and family, as can be seen from the pictures by Dr. Tertius Snyder, the same person who later led our party to go and see the plaque. The breakthrough for me came when Jacques Retief, the person who originally told me the story of the Hawekwa mirror, phoned to say that the reflection was visible from his farm, incidentally a subdivision of the original Hexberg farm on the outskirts of Wellington. We happened to catch it near maximum brightness, and I was amazed how bright it was. It made me realize why the story of a real mirror is told. The very next night I was back at Hexberg, this time armed with all sorts of gadgets. I since worked out that a lot of the geometry of the mirror could be calculated by simply taking a bearing to it. A mounting I used for satellite tracking and DOS software I wrote for doing astronomical calculations were employed for these measurements, which enabled me to construct the rudimentary predictions from which further observations could be made. Over the next months, I started following the reflection as it sweeps over the whole width of the town of Wellington, including from my backyard, which has a clear view of the mountain. After taking a photograph of it, I published an article in the local newspaper to raise awareness and to ask people for observations to help refine my model. Unfortunately, not much useful data resulted, except for one very interesting phone call from a Henny Ferreira. It turned out that after losing their only child, Frans's parents later adopted Henny from the local children's home. However, the Ferreiras were too devastated to tell him about the tragic death of his stepbrother. In fact, he only found out that he was adopted about 10 years before that phone call. Since his parents did not want to talk about it, he could not tell me much about Frans and was grateful for the article in the paper. With Interest Park again, a small party of interested people, led by Dr. Tertius Snyder, who originally attended the unveiling ceremony, we visited the plaque. I specifically looked for signs of a real mirror, but found nothing, although we did encounter a troop of baboons fleeing past the monument as we approached. Also, no interfering vegetation can grow near it, since the stone is surrounded by solid rock. I also checked that the stone has a clear view of the whole town of Wellington, meaning the reflection can be seen over the full calculated range of the seasonal movement of the sun over a year. The stone is black polished granite, causing specular reflection of the sun. To test my model, I followed the beam over a period of 2 months, finally yielding about 28 data points spread over a wide area of Wellington, some spanning a number of days on either side of the predicted dates. This enabled me to publish a more scientific article in an astronomy journal, where I also calculated the effective brightness of the reflection, suggesting that in ideal conditions it can get as bright as the full moon concentrated onto a single point. For those of you doing geocaching, I also made this into an earth cache titled Mirror Mirror on the Wall. You can see the link below. Over the years I tried photographing or taking time-lapse and video of it, even through a telescope, but with mixed success. It is one of those things which is very hard to get it to resemble what it looks like to the naked eye. In conclusion, I hope that my efforts have illuminated some of the folklore, mainly the result of poor knowledge and lack of understanding of the whole phenomena. As it is done for the past 60-odd years, the reflection of the Hawekwa mirror is likely to continue biannually, bidirectionally, sweeping the town of Wellington for many generations to come. Through the memory of Frans Ferreira, it'll keep reminding us of the tragic events of 19 November 1959, while blazing out the eternal warning, always be ready.